livelihood support, and disaster risk financing, which we'll talk a little bit more later.
Yes, because as you spoke about food program, because I wanted to get a little more into that, but as we delve into the program further, we will get further into it.
For sure. So, one of the other things that the World Food Program is known for is that we lead the logistics cluster for the United Nations. And this means that we help to coordinate and transport essential supplies like food, medicine, and shelter materials for other UN agencies and emergency responders. Our goal is to ensure that these vital supplies reach those who need them quickly and efficiently. In some regions of the world, we also support with school meal programs, ensuring children get nutritious food, and we work on agricultural projects to help community grow their own food and become more self-sufficient.
Hold that thought a while, because I want to ask you, how difficult has that program been for you in terms of sustaining the people who need?
Okay, so we will go a little bit more into details as we talk about our specific programs, but as you said, there are people in need and there will always be people in need. So one of the areas that World Food Program, one of the things we do is that we tend to focus on the most vulnerable in any community that we're part of. So in cases where you have crisis, like, you see on the news places like Yemen, for example, then you would have the whole place is vulnerable, but then even within there you have the most vulnerable. So it could be children, single mother households, but through targeting of programs and working with other agencies, you're able to target the most vulnerable.
Okay.
Okay. So our headquarters is in Rome, Italy, but we have a strong global presence with over 87 offices across the world. In Dominica, the World Food Program, we first supported governments and other Caribbean countries in the 1960s with this school meal and nutrition programs. Over time, this sort of got phased out, but we still maintain presence in Latin America. So it's actually Hurricane Maria in 2017 when we did an emergency response in Dominica that caused the reopening of the Caribbean office. So it was always Latin America and the Caribbean, but we maintained more in Latin America for a lot of these years. But in 2017, we came back to the Caribbean in response to Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Irma. And we have established what we call the Caribbean Multi-Country Office, which covers 22 countries in the English and Dutch-speaking Caribbean. We have 9 satellite offices throughout the Caribbean, meaning we have staff on ground in these countries, including Dominica. Our main Caribbean office is in Barbados, and it's supported by our Latin America and Caribbean office in Panama. So we are part of a bigger system. So we're here locally, regionally, and globally. In Dominica, much like in many other parts of the world, WFP has moved from being only an emergency response agency to one that provides ongoing expert support to the government of Dominica, helping to build long-term strength and resilience.
Okay. I'm going to come back to you a little while, but I just want to remind our listeners that this is the program of the Office of Disaster Management, and we are here to educate you about especially during the hurricane season and the various things that we do. Hurricane preparedness. Are you ready? When a hurricane watch is issued, you have 2 days or 48 hours before strong winds, rains, and rough seas are possible. Are you prepared? If you are under a hurricane warning, you have a day and a half, that is 36 hours or less, before strong winds and rains, rough seas begin. And there are certain things that you need to do, what not to do, and what you should do when such times occur. Do not wait to hear the category of the hurricane to prepare. Hurricane strength can move from category 1 to category 5, as you would have known quite rightly during Hurricane Maria. And some things that you should do: practice early preparation to help reduce your anxiety. And as I said earlier, we have been going out on community outreaches program. And I want to big up our staff at the ODM, the full staff. Please, they've been doing a wonderful job. We have disaster and youth trivia. The ODM was actively engaged in and is usually at supermarkets. We were in Jolly's Pharmacy, Jolly's Megastore Portsmouth, Jolly's Pharmacy Store on King George V Street in Fokoli. So this initiative is part of ODM's broader public education campaign aimed at promoting disaster readiness through engaging hands-on experiences. Of course, the supermarket sweep helps raise awareness of emergency preparedness, teaching the public what essential supplies are needed before, during, and after a disaster, especially encouraging proactive planning among families and individuals. Our outreach program, as I said, we had our outreach program which is continuing, and we have our radio program. So we have a lot of things carded, especially during this hurricane season. And I can also tell you early warning systems. Very soon we have a design challenge hosted by the Office of Disaster Management for the second year STEMing and geography students at the Dominica State College. So I will delve into that in a little while. But I want to go back to you as we continue our chat on World Food Program.
Sure.
So you have I think you have some partners that you want to talk about. So yes, so you can talk to us about the partners and where we head from there.
Right. But before we just go on to the partners, I just want to talk a little bit about our role with the organization of the disaster management.
I was about to ask, how do we team up together?
For sure.
Yes.
So, our role in supporting the Office of Disaster Management and the National Emergency Planning Organization is ongoing, right? So we cover many different areas. We're not just active in when a disaster happens, but we're constantly working to help Dominica be better prepared for anything that comes its way. So a very important part of our support is what we call capacity building, which means we provide specialized training and expert advice to ODM and other national agencies. And our aim is to make them even stronger in their ability to plan for, manage, and respond to any emergencies effectively. So one of our key initiatives we've been working on is called the Supply Chain Assessment Navigation, or the SCAN tool. So WFP, with support from our supply chain team in Barbados, recently held a 4-day workshop using the SCAN tool to take a deep dive into the ODM's supply chain functions. So just for the listening public, a supply chain is essentially the system that ensures critical support that is end-to-end from where it is stored until it reaches the beneficiary, like for example food, medicine, equipment, that gets to the right people at the right time. So the SCAN tool helps us understand each and every step ODM's supply chain processes, each and every step ODM supply chain process, and it also identifies areas where it can be strengthened, so that no time is lost when an emergency strikes. So for sure.
How effective is that?
Well, a strong and well-functioning supply chain is crucial in any disaster, right?
Yes.
So it enables for quick delivery of aid. It ensures transparency about what's needed and what has to be delivered, and ultimately it helps save lives, which is very effective by getting help where it is needed, when it is needed the most.
And as you're speaking about help save life, I just want to speak also a bit about our outreach programs, because with our outreach programs at ODM, we are able to reach the core of the community. And as I said earlier, we were in the Newtown community where we went on the Bayside meeting with the Fisher folks. We were in Amaho again meeting with the Fisher folks last weekend. That is on Saturday. We did Vegas, Penville, Thibault, as they say, ponging the pavement, meeting the people, having a one-on-one with the people. And that is very, very essential. Because at the end of the day, we do not want the people to say, hey, we do not know about a hurricane. We do not know that a storm was coming. It is effective, and it's not only a hurricane. We're talking about storms, storm surge, the sea, etc. And, so far, ODM has visited the communities of Coliho, Bioche, Dublin, La Plaine, Thibault, Penville, Vacaz. And as I said earlier, during this visit, we walked through neighborhoods with community leaders, residents, and disaster community members to identify local hazards such as landslide-prone zones, flood risk areas, and vulnerable housing structures. And I must say, the people welcomed that. When you go out there in person and meet the people, it's really a joy to behold. And we shared practical tips on evacuation planning, emergency supplies, early warning signs, and the importance of maintaining clean drainage systems. In addition, the ODM conducted hurricane preparedness sessions with both the hospital, nursing staff, All Saints University School of Medicine. These sessions all aim to improve disaster readiness, not just at the workplace and institutional level, but also at the individual and household level. Some of the topics that covered included emergency procedures, securing essential supplies, communication strategies during a storm, and ensuring continuity of operations during and after a disaster event. So this collaborative effort is indeed working.
For sure.
You can continue with some of the things that you were going to give us.
Yes, very good points. Carlisle, you talked about the individual and household planning. We talk about being a resilient nation, and in order for us to be resilient nationally, that needs to start at an individual and household level. That will translate to community level resilience and therefore national resilience. So that's really good work that ODM is doing. And like Tina was saying, ODM is one of our key partners. Teamwork is a very central part to the work that WFP does. On a local level, we partner with the government of Dominica through its ministries and departments like the ODM.
Yes.
Another key partner for us is the Department of Social Services, where we provide expert support. We term this technical assistance. So when we're talking about technical assistance, this is what we're talking about, providing expert support. Like I mentioned, we are part of a bigger team, a Caribbean team, a regional team, and a global team. So although our office, we have the two of us here, we are part of a bigger team.
It's much bigger than people think.
Yes, much bigger.
And people ought to know that, because sometimes they only see the two of you, but they do not see the behind the scene operations. And it's essential that you let them know that there is a behind the scene operations.
Yes, and we with Barbados, it's just an hour away. Sometimes I tell people I need to go to Barbados for work, and they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "That's just a normal day of work." Sometimes they need to bring me over for training, or we get our technical experts to come to Dominica. It's just an hour away, so we're quite close to our country office. So one of the key areas of the work that we do is what we refer to as shock responsive social protection. Now, that term might be new to some, but what that means is that we help governments to strengthen their national social protection systems. This allows them to better respond to and reduce the impact of crisis like a natural disaster, economic downturns like what we had during COVID, for example, conflicts on the most vulnerable people. Right? So an example of that is that we're currently working with the Department of Social Services and the Ministry of Finance to develop a digital system called the it's called the Social Welfare Information Management System, called SWIMS for short, right?
How are people going to access that?
Okay, so I will explain, right?
Yes.
So basically, we're just in the development stage right
Okay.
now. But once it's developed, what the system will help the department do is to better manage important information about vulnerable persons, making it faster to identify, reach, and support those who need help. So SWIMS will help to develop social protection programs more efficiently, both during routine times and especially during an emergency. So one of the things that you will note, like after an emergency, you usually have what we call needs assessments.
Yes.
You have people out in the communities, so you would have the Department of Social Services, for example. You might have the Ministry of Housing, the Ministry of Agriculture. They come to your home and they ask you questions. Who's the head of households? How many children? Is there anybody with disabilities, etc., right? And this information sometimes is taken manually on a sheet of paper. When that information is gathered, it needs to then be translated into a digital form, so you have to get somebody to actually input that can have errors. It takes a long time. So although somebody might have come to you right after the disaster, the government might not have the information until perhaps weeks later, when they have gathered all this information in a digital format that they can share among themselves, right? So with a digital system, if you have a routine digital system, you can use that to store information, especially on the most vulnerable, because when a crisis happens, the vulnerable will become even more vulnerable.
Correct, yes.
So the Department of Social Services will already have the information of the vulnerable persons. They might just need to add to this to see how in the crisis you were further affected, right? So the information can be easily shared. A lot of the work of organizations, you need data. They talk about having data or
And data is critical, eh?
Right.
Especially at time like in this information technology world.
Exactly. Having information that could help you to make decisions. So by the government, you would hear the government talking about the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, right? That's something that is going on right now, and this SWIMS fits into that vision of having a more digital, data focused way of doing business in Dominica, even at the Department of Social Service level and throughout the government system and in the private sector also. So this is what this information system will help with, right? So that's kind of the work that we do locally. On a regional level, most people would have heard of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency called CDEMA, right? So this is a key partner of ODM and also a key partner of WFP. We work very closely with CDEMA. CDEMA is also based in Barbados.
In Barbados, yes. I'm aware, yes.
Yes, and they are a key partner with the WFP, both on the regional level and on a local level through our work with ODM. So we collaborate with them on emergency preparedness and response. We also work very closely with CARICOM. So in terms of CDEMA, we would have recently partnered with them and opened what is called the Caribbean Logistics Hub, and that's located at the Barbados International Airport. And basically, Tina was just talking about supply chain. So this is one of the ways that we are helping to improve supply chain regionally. So you have this hub because I mentioned that we would have come back to the Caribbean as a response to Hurricane Maria, but the WFP persons who came from the Panama office, right? Because we didn't have a Caribbean
office at that time, yes.
Now we have the Caribbean office, and we now have supplies that would be stored in that hub, and it would not be just WFP, but other partner agencies like the IOM and others would store items in that hub, and if there is an event, then that can be
an emergency. So that is going to be used to channel it right through.
Yes. So now this would be a matter of hours, for example, as opposed to a matter of days if it had to come from Miami or Panama or further away place. With CARICOM, we have been working with them with data collection. We just talked about data collection, right? And that is specifically on a survey called the Food Security and Livelihood Survey. This survey helps us and other organizations understand how families are doing when it comes to having enough food and making a living. It provides vital information about which groups might be most vulnerable and helps us decide where help is most needed. Now, there was a recent survey that was done in May. Persons may have received text messages to ask them to participate in that survey. So this is an example of the work that we're doing on a regional level.
Just hold that thought a while because someone is on the line with us. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I'm listening to this important
Hey, Stein, is that you?
Yes, it is Stein. Good morning to you and your guests.
Thank you very much, Stein.
whoever is
Welcome.
With you. Yes. I was just, of course, disability. I was just asking, how do people with disability fit into this project? Have you made prior arrangements for them? Are they part of the discussion? Could you share a little about that with us?
Okay,
Thank you very
Stein.
much, Kai. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you very much. Stein was asking, how does the disability fit in our program? Has any arrangements been made to assist them in that regard? I'm not sure if you can, from your point of view, answer that.
Okay, so thank you for that question, Stein. Persons with disability are considered a vulnerable group, and they are part of our partners that we collaborate with and get input from. So one of the things that the Department of Social Services is working on is creating a database of all vulnerable persons at a village level, working with the local government authority. So that is definitely something that is part we're aware of and will be highlighted in the data that's collected about vulnerable persons.
That is very interesting because, we have a lot of people who are incapacitated and some who are blind, etc., etc. And they have to be taken, some of them, they have to be taken to shelters. We need them to be taken to shelters. We need them to be taken on time. So that is very, very interesting and very important. Stan, thank you very much for that question. Just before you continue, I just want to remind our folks of our program here. And we have our two beautiful ladies from the World Food Program with me in studio. And we're talking disaster. We talking so many things. The family disaster plan checklist. We are in the hurricane season. How prepared are you? Emergency checklist. The things that you need to do. The do's and don'ts. And some of the important documents that you need to have. I also want to remind you also that the Youth in Action, in collaboration with the ODM, that's Youth Emergency Action, we were with them also, and they are also part of the outreach program. The Office of Disaster Management plays a pivotal role in that, so they are also assisting us in going out on our outreach program. And we want to say thank you very much to them as they continue to work with us as we continue our program. We also want to mention the Dominica Meteorological Services. There's also a marine color-coded vigilance list, so you can also check on that, and because they are also working with the Office of Disaster Management. And when we go out on our outreach program, Annie Carrett, Joseph, and the other folks, they are also there with us, partnering with us and giving out very, very essential information that our fisher folks and the general public needs to know. I'm back with you.
Sure. So I just wanted to wrap up this section to just say, besides the work that we do locally, regionally, just wanted to note that globally, the World Food Program is a proud member of the broader United Nations. We work closely with other UN agencies to help governments move forward with their efforts towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. For the World Food Program, our goal is number 2, zero hunger, and number 17, partnership for the goals. These goals are all about building a more resilient and food secure future for everyone on the planet.
And just a reminder, this is the program Disaster and You on DBS Radio. And with me in studio, I need to remember my beautiful lady's name, Miss Roye. I think I remember Miss Roye, not Roye?
Aisha
Aish-
Richards.
Richards and
Tina Alfred.
Tina Alfred. So Miss Richards and Miss Alfred, they are with me in the studio, and they are from the World Food Program, and we are discussing disaster. And you, just to remind you, also some of the important documents that you will need. Remember, just in case, and I say just in case, your emergency kit checklist, you need to make sure insurance documents, birth, marriage, and baptismal certificates, immunization documents, travel documents, passports, etc., banking information. Of course, if you have a baby supplies, disposable diapers, other necessities, a toolbox, fire extinguishers, whistle, basic supplies, drinking water, and your canned food, bread and moist proof packaging, cookies, candies, and dry fruits. So, I'm not going to go through the full list, but just to give you an appreciation of the things that you need. And you cannot say that you are not getting that information, because we at the Disaster Management Office, along with the various groups, we are partnering with them, and our aim is to bring out that information. We also have a family disaster plan checklist. It's a booklet, and it gives you all the various information, the things that you need to know. Know your risk, what is hazard, what is a disaster. And interesting, ladies, when we went out there, we were asking some trivia questions, and some people, they were not aware of the various do's and don'ts, and we were able to educate them. And we have a very, very dedicated team at the Office of Disaster Management. Miss Esprit, Miss Coppel, Mr. James, Mr. Esprit, and Janelle, and Craig, and Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, all the team and those on the outskirts of Roseau who have been teaming in with us. We want to say thank you so very much, and we have to continue our collaborative effort as we continue to educate the public, especially in the height and in the peak of the hurricane season.
For sure.
And as you mentioned, Kalai, definitely, as it relates to some of the activities in terms of disaster preparedness and management that we work in Dominica, WFP started working in Dominica. We've been deeply committed to helping the nation become stronger against shock, as you mentioned, with the advocacy that you all are doing with ODM as well. Our work covers like 3 main areas. Firstly, preparing for disasters. Secondly, reducing the risks, and lastly, responding when they happen, right? So a key part of what we do is strengthening the abilities of national organizations. So this means providing expert support and trainings to some of the organizations. For example, government agencies, local communities, on how to better get ready for and react to and recover from emergencies. So as Aisha mentioned, with our CDMA Logistics Hub or the Caribbean Logistics Hub, we have pre-positioned essential relief items, meaning like we store supplies in advance so that they are ready to go when needed. So furthermore, WFP has partnered with the government of Dominica on disaster risk financing. Now, this means supporting the government to ensure enough or adequate and predictable financing is in place to ensure that funds are available quickly before and after a disaster to help people recover. So this allows for a more timely and efficient emergency response. And now to give you some real-world examples of our response efforts after the widespread damage of
Hurricane Maria. Yes, I was going to get into that,
Right.
because people would want to know. They
2017.
must be very, very interested in trying to find that out.
Right. So we worked closely with the government to provide emergency food assistance. That was one of our main responses. However, as WFP is a lead agency in the emergency telecommunication cluster, WFP also provided vital emergency telecommunication support to Dominica during that time. This support included establishing internet connectivity in key areas, enabling agencies such as humanitarian organizations and the affected population to communicate and coordinate relief efforts. So communication was very key. Restoring of communication was very key during that time.
How difficult was it for you guys?
Well, it was very difficult. I was also part of the team during Hurricane Maria, so I was on the field.
Working sleepless nights.
Right.
Yes. and that is the thing some people maybe don't even know, they're not aware. Because sometimes they may think that, look, those people, they are just there and whatever. But, behind the scenes, as I mentioned, is very critical because you would be working sleepless nights, leaving your home, leaving your family behind to ensure that you take care of the vulnerable people in society.
Right. And it even goes beyond because you have to show a level of compassion when you're out there. You meet people, and then it's not only about just emergency response, but you have to give them some form of hope. So
Some form of encouragement. Yes.
Right. So we, and also during the Hurricane Maria response, WFP also provided crucial logistic support in Dominica. So not only providing food assistance, but also non-food items, supported in the distribution of non-food items. Also provided transportation, supported with storage as part of the wider logistical support to the affected community.
Hold that thought a little because I think we have our next call on the line. Caller, good morning. Welcome to Disaster and you on DBS Radio.
Good morning, my friend. How are you? No.
Hi, caller.
Hello. Hello.
Are you there, caller?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. I can barely hear you though. You're sounding a little faint.
Okay, let me tell you. What plan the Caribbean have the fund? Instead every country individual doing something. What is our plan? And we always have money for evacuation plan, but a disaster fund plan for the Caribbean to come together. We must do it together. We cannot do it as an individual. So let me know, or the citizens, what is going on.
Unfortunately, we could barely hear you, caller. Maybe you could try again. All I got is something dealing with what plans does the Caribbean have, something to that effect. But we did not, unfortunately, get the entire part of your question. Maybe you could try again, but you're sounding very, very faint.
You hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead again.
Yeah, I want to know what plan the work as individual.
No, I did not hear any. It's very, very faint. Caller, please try again because we hearing you very, very faint. So please, sorry for that. You'll have to try us again. We have a next 23 minutes or so on the program still left. So we still have some time. So you could try again, please. Yes, Miss Alfred.
Yes, and another critical response or important response I want to highlight was during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we collaborated to help ensure vulnerable people had enough food by providing cash transfers to people whose livelihoods were impacted as a result of quarantine, lockdown, making sure that essential goods could still reach them, right? Also, one of our third emergency response was following the East Coast trough in November of 2022. Our support focused on providing technical assistance to the Department of Social Services to quickly assess the situation and to distribute cash assistance to those who were impacted. So these experiences truly show our dedication to being there for Dominica.
I think we have a next call on the line.
Yes, brother. Are you hearing now?
Caller, go ahead.
No, what fund plan they have for the disaster around the Caribbean?
What sort of plan?
So what is our financial status? What plan to work together?
Are you all getting the question?
No, I'm just hearing some beeps.
We are just hearing some beeps.
But I don't know. But sometimes I hear you on low also on.
No, we're just hearing some beeps, something about what sort of plan, and we're
Yeah.
just hearing some beeps.
Well, we have what plan for finance plan for all the
What sort of
On the-
sustenance plan?
finance.
No caller, we're not getting you. Unfortunately, we really not getting you. Sorry for that. I guess you'll have to try again. It's very difficult getting what you're asking. Sorry for that. Miss Alfred or
Oh, Richards.
Miss
now.
Richards, yes.
So I just to expand a little bit and to provide some clarifications for persons, because we are in our World Food Program shirts, and sometimes when we walk around, people ask, food, where can we go get some food, right? So we just wanted to provide some clarifications on that to the general public, to just let you know that for us in Dominica, in the Caribbean, actually, the World Food Program primarily works closely with our government counterparts, providing through what we call the technical assistance agreements. So, as I would have mentioned before, is providing expert support to government agencies. Our services aren't something you access directly, like how you may go to the Department of Social Services for a particular service.
So how would say somebody like me who is out there and I need to access that? Do I need to get a ticket or something to that effect?
No ticket is needed. But what basically we do is that we work behind the scenes. You mentioned that a little while ago.
Yes, right.
We are a key behind the scenes players, right?
So hold that thought a little, because I think we have a next caller. We need to be very interactive. Caller, good morning. Welcome to Disaster New on DBS.
Yes, brother. What I would like to know, what plan the Caribbean have? What finance? How much money, if they put money together for whatsoever disaster plan, finance, when something happens in other countries, as the Caribbean, so we cannot depend on America or England or wherever. If they give us, they give us, but we never have a plan, a financial plan for $5 billion, and we have to pay together alone. And plus what we are doing, we can put towards it. But
Okay, caller, thank you very much. I think you got a bit of what he said. I think we got a bit, although you were sounding still very faint. But Miss Richards, I think you got a bit of what he was asking, something to the effect of what plan do we have in the Caribbean, something to that effect.
Yes, I believe he's asking what plans does the Caribbean have so that if a disaster strike, they can depend on themselves instead of outside aid. Okay, so what I will say, I'm not an expert in this area, but the Caribbean has what they call the Caribbean Catastrophic Risk Insurance Facility.
And
it's
also,
known as CRIF.
right, and also you spoke about SIDEMA. So if the caller is listening, he would have grasped that, because you also spoke about SIDEMA, and you again speaking about another area. So all those agencies work with ODM, a World Food Program, and we come together as a team to ensure that we assist.
For sure, right. So I just want to note that the governments of the Caribbean do have an insurance policy with CRIF, and the idea is that when certain triggers are met, they can receive a payout from that. This is actually an area that World Food Program has been working with the government of Dominica with. It's called the CRIF Top Up program. Basically, what that means is that the government already has an insurance program with CRIF. WFP provides a top up, an additional amount towards that insurance program, and if it triggers, the government agrees that a certain amount of that payout is put aside specifically to go to social protection programs. So this is an example of the disaster risk financing that WFP has been working with Dominica. Dominica was the pilot country and that has extended to other countries. So actually, Dominica piloted this in 2021 with WFP. Thankfully, we have not had a major event for the policy to trigger. We're very thankful for that. But the example of Dominica was used by governments like Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Belize, and Grenada being the most big example of that. And when Beryl passed last year, this policy is triggered, and the government of Grenada got a payout of 4.4 million US dollars that they used towards rebuilding.
I think we have a next call on the line. Yes, caller, good morning. Welcome to Disaster on You. Caller, are you there? Okay, I think we've lost that caller. Yes, Miss Richards, you were saying yes.
Yes, so I was just talking about not WFP working behind the scenes, right? So we talked about our work with ODM. So we also we will provide expert knowledge, resources, training to government ministries, departments, and Dominica's national disaster response teams. For example, we partner with the Office of Disaster Management and other agencies to deliver specialized training programs for their staff and volunteers, such as how to use emergency equipment, manage warehousing, and collect important data. When there's a need, especially during or after a disaster, we join forces with partners like SEDEMA and national disaster response teams to provide coordinated assistance. This can include providing crucial life-saving emergency food assistance or cash assistance directly to affected populations, depending on the needs and the most effective way to help. So, while you won't be able to come directly to WFP for help
Correct.
as a member of the general public, our support helps to strengthen the national systems so that they can deliver crucial services more effectively to you, the public, precisely when the services are most needed. So what we like to say, we help the people who help the public.
I will come back to you in a little while, but I just want to remind our listeners that you're listening to Disaster on You and You on DBS Radio. We have very soon Early Warning System Designer Challenge. So we'll be launching this program with the students of the Dominica State College, February, that is September 5, 2025. We will be having a competition date. So stay tuned for that, because we will be coming to you, students of the Dominica State College. You will be having an opportunity to basically do certain things. Also, we just also want to remind you, we also have the website of the Office of Disaster Management, www.odm.gov.dm. We also have odm@dominica.gov.dm. We also have a Facebook page, ODM Dominica 1, and our telephone numbers there are 266-4412, 266-4477. So we have another 12 minutes or so. We still have a lot more time, so we still have things that we can talk about. Yes, don't you worry, lots of things to talk about. Remember, again, we have our outreach program continuing. Today we will be in Portsmouth. Today, the community of Portsmouth, look out for the Office of Disaster Management, and we're encouraging all the fisher folks to attend and strengthen their knowledge on storm surge risk and coastal procedures. And we also want to say a big thank you to the people of Youth Emergency Action Committee, also to Jolly's Pharmacy, who has been partnering with us, and of course the World Food Program, partnering with the Office of Disaster Management to ensure that essential information, critical information is being given out, especially during this hurricane season. And we also want to remind our listeners that ensure that your ravines are cleaned, ensure that the river is in safe order, because some people, they cut trees, they cut branches, they just do everything, and they just leave those things hanging, and then when the ravine comes down, they start to what they say, hele suku, and people start to cry, but they do not realize that, look, these are the things that you do, these are the things that you ought not to do, and you do, and as a result of that, when those heavy rains come down and the landslides, that is why we're having all those various disasters and things that are happening. So please, 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 people, remember, we are in the hurricane season, and please ensure that you are prepared. There are things that you have to do, and of course, like I said, we have our family disaster plan checklist that you need to ensure that you have those things in order. Miss Richards. Yes, I have you this time. Yes.
Yes, thank you. So, just to wrap up on my last point about helping the people who help the public, one of the major things that WFP works on is helping to improve coordination. So, there are a lot of actors that are usually on the ground during an emergency and after an emergency. So we work very closely with partners like CDIMA and our national response teams like ODM and other UN agencies to basically help to operate more seamlessly during emergencies, trying to prevent duplication of efforts and maximizing the reach of assistance. Now, this is easier said than done, but through preparedness and having trainings before an emergency, we're hoping to improve that as we go along. We also want to help to improve our decision making by having informed decision making. So we do that by helping to gather vital information, such as through the Food Security and Livelihood Survey. We mentioned that to get a feel of how things are actually going in the region as well as nationally. This information will help organizations and to understand vulnerabilities and plan proactively, ensuring resources are allocated effectively even before a disaster strikes. So basically, WFP strengthens governments and their disaster management agencies, making the national system more resilient and better able to protect and support all citizens when there is a crisis.
Thank you very much. I just want to also remind our listeners that it's very important that you pay attention to the information provided by the local Met Office over the next few days, as some increased rainfall is expected on island. So just a reminder, please pay close attention to the information provided by our local Met services over the next few days, as some increased rainfall is expected. Also, I want to make mention of Sherlon James, Primrose David, very bubbly, and Anik, who are all part of the ODM team, and I'm so happy to be part of that family. And it's so nice how I was able to gel and blend with them, and Janelle and Fitzroy and Miss Coppell and Miss Esprit and all the team at ODM. Craig doing a wonderful job. And I want to say, also working with you guys, I can see that you have a lot of information, and your information is very essential to us as we work together, as we partner together, hand in hand, to ensure that in terms of ensuring that our public gets the necessary information on a timely basis, on a timely manner.
Yes, for sure. And I would just like to reiterate that, yes, the ODM has an incredible team under the leadership of Mr. Pascal. They're quite welcoming, and we enjoy working with them very much.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to say, maybe we forgot two names, Anil and Dan. So,
Yes.
Yeah,
for
big
sure,
up.
we do feel like we're part of that family as well.
What sort of final information that you want to leave with the public as we wrap up, as we are again in the hurricane season, and as I quite rightly said, that we're expecting some conditions, and we're asking the people to pay close attention to the Met Office, as we will be giving out necessary information. But as we leave today, what sort of information that you want to leave with the public to ensure that they stay in tune and they stay in touch?
Right, absolutely correct. This is one of the most important messages for me I would want to share is how crucial it is to be prepared individually and on a household level. So you mentioned the family disaster plan, and while WFP and our partners work tirelessly to build national readiness, your personal readiness is very important, and it is very important line of defense for sure. So we strongly encourage everyone to get ready as best as they can for emergencies. This means putting together an emergency kit with essentials like water, non-perishable foods, such as the list that Kalai was sharing earlier
Yes,
on.
indeed, yes.
Canned tuna, cricks, your first aid supplies such as your medications and important documents as well, your passports, your IDs, and even certified documents. So it also means having a family emergency plan, knowing your evacuation routes, and identifying safe shelters in your areas. So we are very proud to support the national agencies that are leading the way in disaster management here in Dominica. WFP, for instance, has donated essential emergency response equipment to these agencies, which significantly boosts their ability to respond effectively. So these tools are vital for getting help to those who need it the most, quickly and efficiently. So please pay close attention to the guidance from your national disaster management and authorities. As Kalai mentioned, they are the main source or the main resources for staying safe.
Ms. Richard, your final thoughts?
Thank you, Carlisle, for having us. We would like to reiterate WFP's strong commitment to supporting Dominica in strengthening its ability to withstand and bounce back from emergencies. Our goal is to ensure that communities are stronger and better equipped to face future challenges. We particularly look forward to continuing our emergency preparedness work with the Office of Disaster Management and our broader collaboration with the government and people of Dominica. Thank you so much for having us on your program today. It's been a privilege to share a bit about the World Food Program's work in Dominica.
I'm sure we're going to have you next time. This is just the beginning, and as we continue to collaborate together. Again, before I leave, just want to say final hello to our members of our team, Bernard and Hazelia. And of course, we want to remind you that you need to pay close attention today or during the course of the week for the information provided by your local Met services over the next few days, as some increased rainfall is expected. So, as we take a wrap on disaster on and you for today, we want to say a special thank you to the World Food Program people and for all those who has been collaborating with the Office of Disaster Management as we continue our outreach program. Remember, today we are going to be in Portsmouth. So, from there, I take my leave and say thank you so very much for being with us. Carlisle John Baptist, I'm saying thank you, so long, and goodbye.
Properly fixed to the rafters. Spaces between the roof and the supports should be sealed off during hurricane periods. Trees or branches that hang directly